You know, once we automate this is going to happen for you every day, right? Every transaction that you make is going to come in here automatically. You're never going to have to manually update the spreadsheet really ever again.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rhett, back at it again with another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a tutorial of how to use the crypto tracking spreadsheet that I personally use to track the cost basis and other relevant financial details of the different crypto transactions that I make on both Coinbase Pro and Gemini. What's really unique about this strategy, and it's a strategy that I haven't really seen anywhere else on YouTube on these different crypto tracker sheets, is that this sheet is fully automated. So first of all, you're getting live price data, and so you're not going to have to like go in and update little, changes to the Bitcoin price or whatever over time. That data is going to be pulled into the sheet automatically. But secondarily, whenever you make a transaction on Coinbase Pro or Gemini, that transaction is going to be automatically added to the sheet. You're not going to have to enter manual details of those individual transactions. What's so powerful about this is that when you have one sheet full of every transaction that you've ever made, you can then use the powerful features that are available in Google Sheets to aggregate that data in any way that you see fit. So if you guys watch until the end of the video, I'll be sharing with you the free crypto tracking spreadsheet that I've come up with, and I'll show you how you can automatically populate any purchase that you ever have made or that you ever will make from Gemini and from Coinbase Pro. Go down below and smash the like button for the greatest crypto tracking sheet on the internet, and let's level up your brain.
All right, guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do here is come down into the description. There will be a link to this public crypto tracker spreadsheet, and you'll see that you're only going to have view only permission. So what you're going to do is click on file up here and then just make a copy for yourself. And you can call this copy of public crypto tracker spreadsheet, or whatever you want to call it, and you'll save it in my drive. So when you hit OK here, you'll have your copy of this spreadsheet, and you'll be able to edit this however you want to edit it. So what we're going to need to do next is we're going to need to connect the Google Sheets API to our spreadsheet that we just copied down from my public template. And the way that we're going to make that connection is we're going to go over to console.cloud.google.com, which I'll have a link for that also down in the description, or you can just go to that URL by yourself. So the first thing you guys are going to do is you're going to come up here to this building and you're going to select new project, and let's call the project the crypto spreadsheet demo. So let's hit create here. And so then the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over to the left and we're going to click on API and services. Then we'll click up at the top and hit enable API and services. This will take us to the library and we'll look for the Google Drive API. We'll click on Google Drive API and we'll hit enable. Next, we're going to need to create some credentials to use the Google Drive API. So we'll come up here to the top and hit create credentials. This is going to bring us to the tab over here, credentials on the left, and we're going to select application data. We're going to select no to this next question, and then we're going to hit next. We'll call our service account maybe Rhett. You can call yours whatever you want. And the description for this account is access Google Sheets to update crypto transactions. Then we're going to hit done. And then over here in credentials, we're going to select this email address down at the bottom under service accounts that we just created. We're going to come up to the top into keys, and we're going to select add a new key and create new key. And we're going to select this JSON key right here, and we're just going to hit create. And then we're going to rename this sheets_creds.json, and we'll save that on our desktop. And if you open sheets_creds.json in a text editor, you'll see that it looks something like this. It has a private key and it has that client email address that we just looked at earlier. So if we come back to the cloud platform now, we're going to hit close, and we're going to come back into details here for the account that we just created. And we're going to copy this email address. We're going to come back over to our spreadsheet that we created here, and we're going to click share up here. And when you hit share for the first time, your share should look something like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to add that email address that we got from the Google Sheets credentials as an editor to this spreadsheet. So that's connecting those API credentials that we just created to the spreadsheet that we want to edit. So now let's hit send, and we'll hit share anyway. Finally, we'll come back to the Google Cloud platform and we will search up here for Google Sheets API. We'll click on Google Sheets API and we'll click on enable. And when you come into the Google Sheets API here, if you go into credentials, you should see that the exact same email address is set up as a service account here. And if you click into the email address, you should see that the key, has been created, and it's the same key that we just looked at before. So that's all you have to do to set up your Google Cloud API keys. Next, we're going to take a look at the code that's hosted over on Notion, and I'll show you how to move that into AWS, and we'll start automating these transactions, pulling the data from Coinbase Pro and Gemini Gemini into that spreadsheet. So here's the Notion link with all the code, and I'm going to leave the link to this down in the description. The first thing you're going to want to do, if you haven't done this before, this is a layer.zip that includes the Google Sheets code, the Coinbase Pro code, and the Gemini code. If you already have the Gemini code or the Coinbase Pro code and you don't want to use one or the other, you're going to be fine to use your current existing layer, but this one layer integrates all of those things. And so if you haven't done this before, you're going to be best off just downloading this layer. So let's go ahead and download this layer.zip and just save that on our desktop as well. And that layer.zip is basically going to allow us to use these import statements in the code up on the AWS cloud environment. So next, let's copy all of this code, a lot of code here, and we'll come over to our AWS management console. And if you haven't implemented any of the other scripts that we've gone through on this channel before, I'll leave a link up in the cards about what AWS is and how we're using it for the different scripts that we implement on this channel. Definitely check that video out if you are new to AWS or if you have any questions about how all of this is working. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to click on Lambda. If you've used Lambda before, it will be up in your recently visited services. If not, under all services, it will be right under compute. So let's click on Lambda. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come over to the left-hand side of the screen. We're going to click on layers, and then we will create a new layer. And we'll call this Google Sheets Coinbase Gemini layer. We'll hit upload a zip file and we'll upload that layer that we just got from the Notion page. We'll hit x86-64 and we'll choose the runtime as Python 3.8 and then we'll hit create. That took a while there, but it did successfully create the layer. And so now we're going to come up here back to Lambda and we're going to click on create function up in the top right. And we're going to choose the runtime as Python 3.8 and we're going to call the function YouTube demo crypto spreadsheet. We'll have x86-64 and then we'll come down here to create function. Once that has finished spinning, it will take us to our new Lambda function. The first thing that we're going to want to do here is to come to this configuration button in the middle of the screen. We're going to hit edit and we're going to change the timeout from 3 seconds to 1 minute and 0 seconds. This is going to allow our script to run for a full minute. This is going to be important. If you don't do this, your script will probably break or it will only allow you to import like one transaction at a time, which is going to be really slow. So let's go down here and hit save now. And then we'll come back to code and we'll scroll down to the bottom and hit add a layer. We'll choose custom layers and we'll upload that layer that we just created, the Google Sheets Coinbase Gemini layer version 1, and we'll hit add. Next, we'll go ahead and paste all of the code that we just took from Notion, and we'll go ahead and hit deploy. Every time that you make any change to the code, you're going to have to hit deploy, and then you'll get this thing up here that says successfully updated the function. Only then should you go to test your function with the new changes that you've created. So all the information that you'll ever need to change about this spreadsheet is right here, starting with Gemini public key and ending down here on Sheets Cred's file name. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to connect our Gemini account using a public key and a private key. So to do that, we're going to come over to Gemini. We're going to log into our Gemini. We're going to click account up here in the top right. We're going to hit settings, and then over on the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to come down to API programmatic access, and we're going to create a new API key. For the scope, we're going to select primary, and we're going to hit next. This first API key up here is going to be the public key. So let's copy this and come back over to our AWS script and just paste that there under public key. And then next, this API secret is going to be our private key. So if we just come back over here and paste that as private key. We're going to give it the auditor permission, and that's going to be the only permission that we need. And we're going to click the acknowledgement that just says that we're not going to be able to see our private key again. If you do ever lose your private key, you can just go back through these steps and regenerate a new API key for yourself. So let's come down here and just click create API key. And so now this API key has been created. And I'm going to actually edit this and call this YouTube demo crypto sheets key and hit save. Okay, so now we've connected our Gemini account. Let's go ahead and connect our Coinbase Pro account. So if we come into Coinbase Pro here, we're going to click up in the right-hand corner on our names and then select API. We're going to click new API key. We're going to call this YouTube demo sheets updater. We're going to give it the view permission. We're going to copy our passphrase here, bring this back over to AWS under passphrase, back to Coinbase Pro. We're going to click create API key. We're going to give it our two-factor authentication code. And now you'll see your API secret. You'll copy this, come back over to AWS, and you'll paste this under Coinbase Pro secret. And then you'll come back over to Coinbase Pro and you'll hit done. You'll see the API key that we just created here, and you'll want to click this string of of characters underneath default portfolio, this is going to be the key. So if you copy that and then come over here to CB Pro key and paste that here, you should be good to go. Now you've connected both your Gemini account and your Coinbase Pro account to this Python script. And so now the Python script should be able to go into both your Coinbase Pro account or your Gemini account and start to populate the trades that you've made in the spreadsheet that we hooked up at the beginning of the video. The way that this script connects to that sheet is via this information here. So right now the script says it's called the new definitive crypto sheet. I'm going to copy this name and then go back over to my spreadsheet and paste it. So now it should be looking at the correct information. It doesn't matter what you call your spreadsheet as long as this name here, Google Sheet file name, matches the name of the file that you've given it up here. Next, the audit file sheet name. Mine is just called audit file, and that's what it's called by default. And that's basically this tab down here at the bottom. If you can see this, it's called audit file. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it, but just remember, if you do rename this, you're going to have to change the script to make sure that they match. And then finally, the sheetscreds.json, we're going to upload here into AWS. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to come over here to this folder that says YouTube demo crypto spreadsheet. And underneath it is our Lambda function. We're going to right click and we're going to click new file. And we're going to call this sheets_creds.json. We'll double click on this to open the editor for sheetscreds.json. And then we will take the sheetscreds.json that we saved from earlier in the video that we got from the Google Cloud Console. We'll copy this information and we'll paste it here in AWS. And we'll hit deploy, obviously, to deploy those changes to AWS so that we know what information we're looking at. So it says that it's successfully updated. And so now we have connections to Gemini, we have connections to Coinbase Pro, we have connections to our Google Sheet. So what we're going to look at next is these Gemini symbols and these CB Pro symbols. These are basically a list of all of the transactions that you are telling the script to import into your spreadsheet. So if you have traded things other than BTC USD, ETH USD, and BAT BTC, you're going to need to list them here. So for example, if you traded Litecoin, you might need to do LTC USD, and then you would hit deploy. And when you hit test, that information from your Litecoin trades would go get populated into the Google Sheet. I'm going to leave it how I have it for now. And the trades are going to populate in the order that these symbols appear in the array. So BAT BTC will go first, then all my ETH transactions will happen next, then all my BTC USD transactions will happen after all of those other transactions have filled first. Same thing for Coinbase Pro. Down here, BTC is going to fill first, then ETH, then Link, then ADA, then the rest of this stuff. I'm going to put XLM and XTZ first because I don't have very many trades, and I think it will be helpful for you guys to see how all of those populate, and then BTC starts to populate. I have too many BTC trades to populate the entire spreadsheet in one test of this script, and you'll see what that looks like in a second. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that Coinbase Pro transactions are going to populate first, and only once all of the Coinbase Pro transactions are finished will any of the Gemini transactions populate. So let's scroll up to the top here and click on test. And we're going to call this sheets test. And we'll scroll down and hit create. And so now when we hit test again, we'll see that information about our different trades, first XLM, then XTZ, then BTC, will start to populate in our crypto spreadsheet. So you'll see that right now, there's nothing currently populated in our audit file. You'll see that there are only all of these hidden transactions for $0 for all of these different coin trading pairs on Gemini and Coinbase Pro. I'm going to hide those rows again. And you'll see that right now on line 250, there's no information. So let's go back into AWS. Okay, and real quick before we hit test, the thing that I had to do to get this to work here was I'm actually going to unhide these rows here for a second. You're going to see that all of these rows are just blank 0 buy orders for all of the different currency pairs on Gemini and Coinbase Pro. And you'll see here that they end on line 248. As of the current implementation of the script, that could change in the future if we add more currency pairs. But right now we should be looking to see that new transactions show up on line 249. So let's go back over to our script and let's go ahead and hit test, and then head back over to the crypto sheet, and we'll see that in fact the transactions are populating first for XLM, then for XTZ, and then a bunch of Bitcoin transactions. And you'll see that it actually times out here and it breaks, right? There are actually more Bitcoin transactions that are in there. You'll see that it's only pulling from 2017, 2018, 2019. It breaks there for a second. It continues going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, again, takes a break. And if we come back into our Lambda function, again, we'll see that quota exceeded for quota metric write requests per user per minute. And so this basically takes us to the very first limitation of this script, and that's that per minute, you can only add so many transactions to your crypto sheet. So if you have done a lot of buys over time, you will see that it's going to take a lot of runs of that script to populate every single transaction that you've ever made. And if you did want to quickly get them in there, you don't want to wait that amount of time, you can just come in here and back to your AWS. We've waited about a minute here. So if we come back here and hit test, and then we come back over to the crypto sheet, we should hopefully see in a second here that more Bitcoin transactions are going to populate from Coinbase Pro. And here they come. So 15th, 16th, I was buying every day for quite a while. And at this point, once we automate this is going to happen for you every day, right? Every transaction that you make is going to come in here automatically. You're never going to have to manually update the spreadsheet really ever again. And again, you will hit this quota, write requests per minute per user and all of this stuff. But once you catch up to the current transactions that you are making, you should see that, not only have all my Bitcoin transactions come in, but also all of these XTZ transactions, all of these XLM transactions from when I was coining in the past, all of those have come in, and they've come in the order of how we identified them up here at the top. So all the XLM came in, all the XTZ came in, Bitcoin is happening next, Ethereum will happen after this. And if we, just for proof of concept here, if we delete Ethereum and put it ahead of Bitcoin, we'll start to see that Ethereum transactions start to come in instead of Bitcoin transactions. So let's hit deploy here, wait for it to update, and then it will say successfully updated. We'll come back here and we'll hit test. We'll go back to our crypto sheet. We'll scroll down to the bottom, and we'll expect at this point to see some Ethereum transactions, and that's exactly what we're getting. So again, all these videos on the internet, all these videos on YouTube that are showing you how to track your crypto cost basis and stuff, none of them are allowing you to automatically pull transactions that you make from Coinbase Pro, Gemini, and hopefully other exchanges in the future. You don't want to live in these spreadsheets. You want these spreadsheets to populate for you, and you want to be able to go to a general ledger tab and just see what the different statistics of how much Ethereum, how much Bitcoin, how much Doge, how much whatever the cryptocurrency is. You just want to be able to look at this high level thing and say, okay, what's the cost basis? The cost basis here is 8,500. The cost basis here is 496, or whatever it is, right? All of this is made possible by integrating those API keys from these different exchanges into this Google spreadsheet. So again, that first limitation is this quota exceeded situation. And if you do have a lot of trades like I do, you're going to need to run this quite a few times to get every single transaction in there. But eventually, they will all be in there, and every incremental transaction that you're making every new day will also come in and be populated. And now for a proof of concept, let's start to populate some Gemini transactions instead of some Coinbase Pro transactions. Again, once it's fully up to date, it will do both, but because it's trying to pull in every single Coinbase Pro transaction that I've ever made, we're not getting to Gemini yet. So let's deploy and see what happens when we populate some Gemini transactions. So if we go ahead and hit test and we come back over to the crypto sheet, we'll start to see some BAT BTC sells from Gemini. We'll start to see some ETH USD buys from Gemini. And then, if we were able to get through all the ETH USD buys, we would then start to see some BTC USD buys. The issue that you might notice with Gemini, if you have made lots of transactions in the past, and this is another current limitation to the spreadsheet, is that Gemini only actually stores back 500 transactions for each coin pair. And so if you did want to get your full transaction history of everything that you've ever traded on Gemini, you'll have to come over to Gemini, click on account, and then go to balances. And then you can click on this download button here, and you can download the history of every transaction that you've ever made on Gemini. And that's going to be the only way for you to get those, past 500. If you've made 600 trades of Bitcoin on Gemini, those extra 100 trades are only going to be available via this history. And so you might have to do some manual work to populate your spreadsheet if you do want to get every single piece of data that you've ever gotten from Gemini into your current spreadsheet. So hopefully this has been a really interesting proof of concept for you guys. Next, I'm going to go through how to automate that function that we just wrote so that the spreadsheet updates itself and we never have to even go in and hit test. So first, for the automation, we're going to come back into AWS and we're going to click up to AWS console home. We're going to find Amazon EventBridge, and then under all services, if you just do a Control F for Amazon EventBridge, it's going to be down here under application integration. You'll come down here to create rule. You'll call this rule, crypto update spreadsheet YouTube or something like that. And then you can click here on schedule and you can do fixed rate of every maybe 1 day. And again, if you did want to implement this, like if you wanted to update the spreadsheet every 12 hours, you could do that also. I'm going to just do 1 day for now. And then I'm going to scroll down to this select targets piece right here. I'm going to have Lambda function and I'm going to select the function that we just wrote, which was called YouTube demo crypto spreadsheet. Once we hit create on that rule, the rule should trigger one additional time. So if it's every 1 day, today when you hit create should be the first run of that script. And then 1 day from now will be the second run of the script and so on and so forth. So if we wait here for a little bit, yeah, you can see that the script got run again and we're populating new ETH transactions until we're going to hit that quota. And then Google is going to say, timeout, you've written too much to the spreadsheet. But it's cool. You can see those transactions come in real time, and that's going to update the general ledger here. And again, you could change the spreadsheet however you want. If you don't want to look at 1 inch or BAT, BTC or whatever, any of these different cryptocurrency trading pairs, you could delete all of these if you're just trading like Bitcoin and Ethereum and XLM and Tezos and stuff like that. Okay, so now that we've gone through that demo of how the spreadsheet works and we've seen that we can automatically populate transactions and schedule that on, whatever recurring basis that we want to, let's talk quickly about just how the spreadsheet generally functions and some of the things that it does and some of the things that it can't do yet. So first of all, these first 250 right now rows are in the spreadsheet because the way that the spreadsheet populates data from these different exchanges is it looks at, for example, if I was populating BTC USD from Gemini, the spreadsheet would say, what is the most recent transaction in the spreadsheet? For the first time that we run the spreadsheet, it would see that the first transaction was 0. So if the transaction ID is higher than 0, then it should start to populate those transactions in order. And so that's what's happening when we're running that script, is it's saying, all right, we have a BTC USD transaction from Gemini. Let's see the first one from Gemini. So this was the transaction ID. Obviously that number is bigger than 0. So that's populating. And then, we're continuing to populate BTC USD transactions here, throughout the spreadsheet. And they're coming in for the most part in chronological order. You don't want to be just coming in here and like deleting random stuff because it might affect the way that the spreadsheet starts to populate data. Finally, over here in the prices tab, we just have live price data for all of these different trading pairs. So basically every trading pair with USD is in here, and then every trading pair with euros, GBP, BTC, and ETH. And we're just calculating this information basically by taking the, for 1 inch, for example, 1 inch euro is just 1 inch USD divided by the price of euros, basically, right? Same thing for GBP, same thing for Bitcoin, same thing for Ethereum. The other current issue in the spreadsheet, and something that I'm hoping to figure out eventually, is we can take these current value gain loss things here. These are just formulas, and we can pull these down and populate these for every transaction in the spreadsheet. And so now you'll see how much your gain or loss has been on these different buys and sells that you've been making. And then that information is going to help you populate these columns here on cost basis and USD amount. The way that you would add a coin that's not here would be just adding a new row maybe into the spreadsheet. Let's say you wanted to do like SHIB USD, do SHIB USD, and then you would find the price data however you're going to find the price data. You might be able to just copy the price data from here. It looks like this trading view is not working, so you might have to find that price data from somewhere else. And then what you would do is you would come to the audit file and you would make sure that there was a SHIB USD zeroed out transaction from the exchange that you were looking to populate SHIB USD data from. So for example, if you wanted to populate Gemini SHIB USD data, you would come in here and do SHIB USD. You would give it a 0 transaction. You would populate this information here. And then if you ran the script again with SHIB USD in your Lambda function here, you would just be putting SHIB USD basically. And you can get the symbols here. We didn't talk about this earlier, but you can get the symbols here from Gemini or from Coinbase Pro in the links down in the description. So if you're not sure what a coin pair is called on Coinbase Pro or on Gemini, you'll note that like Coinbase Pro has a dash between their coin pairs and Gemini does not. You'll want to go check down in the description for your symbol if you're trying to trade something else or pull in the data from something else. And so that's pretty much it. Once you automate it, this sheet is going to update itself and you're not really going to have to manually mess with it anymore unless you want to change the format or something like that. So at the end of the video here, I wanted to take you guys through some of the updates that I'm going to be making to the sheet and just make sort of a general disclaimer that I'm
I'm not, you know, the spreadsheet expert basically. And so it's totally possible that some of the formulas within the spreadsheet are not giving the exact correct information. And so if you are some sort of like accounting spreadsheet master and you have any feedback for me for how to expand the template version of the spreadsheet, I would love to hear from you either in the comments down below or via Twitter over DMs. I'd really like to make this spreadsheet something that we build out over time that can be just like the best free resource possible for all of the different people in the crypto ecosystem to be able to track the cost basis of their different trades. So in the future, I'd love to implement, you know, more exchanges from a development perspective. I'd love to implement some of the more heavy accounting side features that we can just build out within the Google Sheet. But I would also like to not be making update videos on this spreadsheet, you know, every 2 months or every month or every 3 months when these features come out. And so if you do want to learn more about the spreadsheet and be given updates on when those new features are added to the spreadsheet, please go down below and follow me over on Twitter, or go down below to my blog and sign up for my email list. This way you're going to be able to get those updates when new changes are made to the overall sort of product that we have here. That's the spreadsheet plus that Python script. And you should be able to just ideally plug and play the new spreadsheet and the new Python script in with whatever you currently have working. If you guys found this video helpful, please go down below and like the video, and feel free to share this with anyone in your life that's looking to better track their crypto transactions. I again do think that this is currently the best option that I have seen out there anyway, especially the best option that's free. Comment down below if anything that I said was confusing. I was really hyped up on caffeine during this video, so I'm sure I said a bunch of confusing. I do still respond to all the comments though, so hopefully I can help you guys out down there. Additionally, if this whole video went way over your head and you're not confident that you can set this up by yourself, feel free to go down in the description. I should have a link down there to my Calendly page where you can set up one-on-one consulting time with me, and I can help you set this spreadsheet up for yourself. That's all I've got for you guys today. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did and you want more videos just like this, come back here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I love you all. Goodbye.